Why do people love Spider-Man? Well, I'll let Stan Lee tell you.
I think there were a lot of reasons. I think perhaps the main reason was I can relate to him. Because he was shy, he wasn't that successful with girls, he had to worry about his family. I think most teenagers reading it thought to themselves, hey, that could be me. You could be any kid.
Yeah.
You could be black, you could be Asian, you could be Indian. But we tried to bring comics a little more into the real world. I mean, okay, he's pretty good at catching bad guys, but he's apt to get an allergy attack while he's fighting. He worries about dandruff.
I shined my shoes, pressed my pants, did my homework.
People love Spider-Man because of his relatability. Once the mask comes on, anybody could be him. While sitting in the theater watching a Spider-Man film, you can imagine that it's you flying through the air and marvel at the acrobatic skills you have as you take down bad guys. There's nothing to pull you away from that dream, because his costume covers him from head to toe. No giveaway of race or age to take you out of the immersion of that fantasy. And when that mask comes off, the relatability goes up as you watch him struggle to do the same things normal people struggle with every single day. He has insecurities, he's late to class, has romantic problems, gets bullied, loses loved ones like he's allergic to personal connection. He even messes up doing his own laundry. People don't expect to see superheroes stumble, but when they do, it humanizes them, removes one of the layers of perfection and strength that you would normally associate with them. Even more so, seeing a hero struggle with the same things you do makes you like them more. In real life, when people see others who are successful make mistakes, it gives us hope that we can be successful in our own lives. It gives us a little more motivation and demystifies the perception that you have of them. Although it sounds hateful, it brings us joy when we see people fail. And that's true in more ways than one.
I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city.
But the one thing they love more than a hero
Is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
This is probably one of my favorite quotes in a Spider-Man film. Aside from its intended purpose, it communicates a meta meaning to the audience that's glued to the screen. In the context of the scene, Green Goblin is trying to recruit Spider-Man so they can wreak havoc on the city together. He's confused why Spider-Man would selflessly choose the path of the hero when a hero is destined to eventually be despised by the same people they once saved. Although they build your reputation up, praise and exalt you, the minute you step out of line, in their eyes, they turn on you in an instant and tear you down faster than they built you up in the first place. People can't handle sustained success, so they will take joy in watching someone be removed from their pedestal. Outside of the movie, the sentiment rings true for the viewers that are currently watching it. We don't want to see our heroes win all of the time. Nobody would watch a movie about a hero that doesn't have any weaknesses or never loses in a battle. Which is why I think Superman is the lamest superhero, but anyway. We want to see our heroes tested, fail, and eventually rise to the occasion and overcome the thing that set them back. The first time you saw that scene, you were probably on the edge of your seat as you watched Willem Dafoe deliver those lines in such a cold and menacing voice. Our hero has fallen. He's in a vulnerable state. We don't know if the Goblin is going to reason with him or kill him in this moment. That's what makes this all the more satisfying in the end.
MJ and I, we're gonna have a hell of a time.
Watching Peter fumble his words when talking to a girl or give an excuse to his college professor on why he's been late to class is an all too familiar feeling for many people. Seeing ourselves in our heroes makes us more comfortable with them. It deepens the relationship we have with them like we could have been friends, or makes us empathize with the experiences they've had because we've gone through them as well. We feel his heartbreak because we've experienced our own. We feel his financial struggle because who hasn't at one point been strapped for cash? We feel his loneliness because we've all been isolated before. Probably the ultimate goal that Peter has is trying to balance all of his life responsibilities, making sure he gives each one of them the attention that they need just so he can live a normal and happy life. And we can all relate to that.
There's no featherweight division here, small fry. Next!
No, sign me up.
Okay.
You could argue Peter's character is more likable based on the things he does without the mask on. Seeing him go through his everyday life, it's easy to root for him based on his origins as somewhat of an underdog. The audience can empathize with Peter the times he gets bullied by classmates in school, watching him live through the death of Uncle Ben, and the struggles of not being able to afford rent. Seeing someone go through those struggles and eventually make it out of them is highly rewarding to the viewer. The audience has been along for the journey to see Peter overcome his struggles. We would be less inclined to care about him as a character if he was rich, arrogant, and selfish. The only reason we accept these qualities in a character like Tony Stark, for example, is because his humor and charisma make up for the fact that he's a jerk most of the time. Eventually, he displays character growth and moves away from the more detestable personality traits he once had. But when you look at Peter, outside of his success in academics, people around him don't expect much from him. His scrawny and slender demeanor always makes him the underdog in a fight with one of his enemies, whether that be the Flash, another schoolyard bully, or Bonesaw, who laughs when he looks at Spider-Man and thinks of their battle as
3 minutes! 3 minutes of bleed time!
Tony looks at Peter and sees him as just a kid with a lot of potential, but a kid nonetheless who can't be trusted to handle real danger. When our heroes overcome obstacles to do something extraordinary and defy expectations, we love them for it.
But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. With great power comes great...
Superheroes who hold a strong moral code are able to garner more respect than others that just act on impulse without any set of rules. The audience can trust them more as long as they hold true to something they believe is greater than them. We can trust that they are trying their best to do what is right rather than satisfy their own desires. People trust Batman because everyone knows that he has this strong stance against killing. We know that it's a line that he's not going to cross, so the audience can put their faith in him as a character and get behind what he stands for. It's noble. We put our faith in Daredevil even more because we can clearly see the strong desire that he has to kill. He doesn't have a desire to kill out of any murderous intent that he has, but simply for vengeance. Feeling such a strong connection to the people of his city, he wants to protect those he serves and avenge those who have been hurt by his enemies. We can see him struggle to adhere to this moral code, initially wanting to let justice be handled by the law with a severe prison sentence, but then struggling to support the law system when he doesn't see people get what they deserve. He struggles so much with his desire that it, at times, pulls him away from his faith, wrestling with the idea that God isn't proud of him for the double life that he lives as a vigilante, taking matters and justice into his own hands and putting people in the hospital during the process. With all of that internal turmoil, he still never deals the finishing blow. Well, kinda. Peter's moral code starts with the most famous quote in all of superhero media.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Initially rejecting this concept, Peter's first act of heroism isn't because he's trying to save somebody's life. It's him looking for vengeance. His actions of hunting down his uncle's killer were motivated by selfish reasons, even if the byproduct was getting a criminal off the streets. Once he learned that vengeance didn't lessen the pain of the loss of his uncle, in tribute to him, he decided to live his life by this phrase, choosing to protect the innocent not because it serves him in any way, but because it's how his uncle would have wanted him to use these God-given abilities. His moral code extends to compassion for his own enemies. At some point with every Spider-Man villain, Peter has a heart-to-heart with them where he learns and understands their motivations, empathizes with them, knowing that they do what they do out of a place of hurt, necessity, or scientific discovery. He sees the good in people and tries to reason with them before or after he inevitably has to punch their face in. We as the audience want people to see the good in us the same way that Peter can see the good inside of his arch enemies.
Am I not supposed to have what I want? What I need? What am I supposed to do?
Now, I don't know about you. Maybe it's because I'm a little biased, but the version of Peter that holds the most emotional weight to me is the one in the original Raimi trilogy. I'm not saying the Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland versions don't have their own appeal, but the drama and the impact that the Raimi trilogy has by far outweighs the future iterations of the character. So when I talk about feels, understand that I'm only referring to the Raimi films. Irregardless of Spider-Man, I don't think that there's an iteration of any superhero that holds as much emotional weight and power as the Raimi films do. Superhero films that came out before and after 2002 Spider-Man have had their moments, but nothing comes even close. I've always said that if you take out every single web-swinging scene, every fight scene, and every scene where Peter wears the costume, these movies work all on their own and could still be loved by millions. That's because, although not consciously, the main draw of this version of the character is what he does in his real life, not what he does when he's trying to save the world. Take all of those scenes out, and it's still a heartwarming story about a teenager discovering who he is in New York City, discovering his identity in relation to the people he cares about in his life, juggling the responsibilities of being a good friend, boyfriend, student, and employee. These are aspects of life everyone understands, and the Raimi trilogy places them at the forefront of Peter's story because to make someone care about what a hero does in the costume, you have to make them equally care about what's done outside of the costume. Without that aspect, heroes are just faceless mercenaries, and Raimi knew this. Peter staring out of the window having an existential crisis. Feels. Peter trying to convince Mary Jane that he's dependable and ready to be in a relationship. Feels. Peter having dreams about what he wishes he could have said to Uncle Ben the last time in the car. Feels. None of these moments have anything to do with the act of being a superhero, but they are all so intimately human. The foundation of this character lies in the ability to be as normal as possible. The more human aspects a hero has, and the less super they really are, the easier it is to grow to love them. Although it plays a part in the mainstream appeal, it's not about the sick costume, the superhuman strength, the spidey sense, the acrobatics, or the fighting. It's about the small stuff, the real stuff. As a kid, your favorite parts of these films were probably the action set pieces of bad guys getting beat up. But the older you got, you loved every other scene of Spider-Man just being plain old Peter that much more. You loved watching him get a job and find his place in the world. You loved watching him be a good friend to others. You loved watching him plan a corny wine glass proposal. These aren't reasons why you love Spider-Man. This is exactly why people love
Peter.
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 Peter Parker.
Parker, hello.
Oh, Peter.
Parker.
Peter Parker.
That's all I have to give.